maybe even do the same eye again. I couldn't find anything other than the fragile tape to stick it down with. Normally I would find it a big distraction, but today it felt appropriate. I'm just going to do the same eye again. I might not talk again, actually. So the runs in the other eye are upside down now. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I have a feeling slightly impatient with myself because I feel like the reason I was doing this in the first place was when I was out walking with Maisie. I had the idea that I would do a therapeutic drawing for myself. And then I thought, why don't I record that? Because that sometimes makes it feel even better because I feel I'm talking and it's more movement again. And but then I became impatient because it took me so long to set up. It started becoming more of a job, like a work thing, which I already feel at the moment. There seems to be a lot of things going on in work, and I just wanted something that wasn't that. So I suppose that's where the impatience is, that I've let myself down a little bit by making it into a task. However, this just feels, even the telling of that now has eased it up a bit. And the fact that I'm doing a second one, there's no feeling of preciousness around it, and it doesn't have to work visually. I would like it to work in terms of helping me ground, I suppose, into my own self today. It's the beginning of the day still, really. And I went out for a walk with Maisie there, and the feeling of swept up seemed to be what happened to me. I started getting swept up in my thoughts. And I stopped then underneath a tree, and there's big old trees out there now, and the grass underneath was relatively soft and flat, so I spontaneously broke into a bit of yoga. There was nobody about, so I just did a salute to the sun kind of thing. And as I looked up at the bursting open leaves on this old tree, there were flurries of leaves bursting from every branch. And so where I had been swept away in thought, I became swept away, at least started to become present, seeing the blue sky in the gaps between those spring green little fancies, almost like roses. The shape of the leaves together at the end of the branches felt almost like roses. Anyway, I was aware though that that the swept away thing had happened, and I didn't want it to happen again, and that whole, and I thought, now how can I move into the day while still accomplishing what needs to be accomplished? How can I move into the day with some kind of a gift for myself, I suppose, really, to start out from a rooted place. So that certainly helped the yoga. And then I had the idea, because I was speaking to somebody yesterday, and the word that we came up with as a theme for some drawing was, or even just to consider, was the word strength. And actually fragility was there too. And I thought I would do something in relation to those words. I meant to do something in relation to the word strength, and then I came across the fragile tape, and I couldn't find the masking tape. I thought, that feels appropriate. So fragility is in here of its own accord, but my original theme was strength. Possibly both can be present. In fact, I suppose when there is fragility and we're still living still living. No, when there is fragility and movement still, I feel like that's where strength comes in. It's in that movement, and even in paralysis, if there's a fragility, and then you can all you can do is just breathe. Sometimes that might be the case for some folk, but not for me. But even there, that's strength too, isn't it? Just the managing to find some coping mechanism for uncomfortable states. And I reckon that there are none of us without uncomfortable states at some point in our living. And deeply uncomfortable at times. So it's kind of a little bit of a foray into the human condition, this idea of the theme of strength and fragility. And I had envisaged a steady red gaze, like my two eyes looking back at me, steady, holding, standing, that thing of standing your ground. I say I had envisaged that because, of course, things don't show up as you anticipate they will. And that's a good thing. And that, I suppose, will encourage acceptance too, which is another. It's something I'm aiming to cultivate. I had the most wonderful weekend at home there. I was down in Cork, and it was my birthday on Thursday, and I went over to see my family, my mum and dad and my brothers and sisters, all of them except for my sister Eileen, who's in Dublin. So we did have, and I'll see Eileen in June, but it was a really lovely thing. I went on my own, and I did the Facebook sale alright before leaving, so I was communicating online a bit and things, but still there was a lot of space, and there's a lovely bedroom in my mum and dad's that overlooks the sea, and some palm trees in my mum's garden first, and then out to the sea. And every morning the sun was shining. It was really sunny and warm generally. I mean, in the bedroom it was especially warm. When I got out it was less so, but still inspiring enough for me to have a sea swim every morning. And of course that's one of those things, isn't it, that feels strengthening, and something heartening in that merging with the water and the sunlight and the sky and all of that stuff. So it was helpful for me to go there for that break. It felt like a reset. And the girls were good here, they were fine. They kept Maisie going, and she went to the dog walker a couple of days, and they they managed. Each of them had a party to go to, but they seemed to survive quite happily without me for the weekend. So it was a lovely birthday present. That's what we decided for my birthday, that I said what I'd love is to go home. And so that's what I did. It was great. And I came back with energy to complete a commission that had been on the go for a while. And I have another couple that I'm getting photographs for today now. I'm going to enhance the photos a bit so I can see them more clearly. And they'll be my next projects. And I'm out in the studio because one of the things, of course, that happened over the weekend was, well, not of course, the last time I came home it was really tidy. But this weekend there was a lot on for the girls, and so, the living room was was messy, and I just thought, I'm not going to start by cleaning the living room now. So I was saying that to my mum at the weekend, that now that it's a bit sunnier, I can use the garden studio to paint in, rather than, the one that I'm giving up in Cockenzie I usedn't use anyway, because it's just too far for me to drive to do bits and pieces. So it's helpful having this one in the garden where it's clear enough. I've got my bike in here, but it's clear enough. And I have a heater that I can warm it up, which I've not turned on this morning because I thought this would just be 20 minutes. But I do have the heater that I can turn on, and it just lets me close the door on everything in the house. So I no longer have the consideration of, clothes to wash and shopping to do, meals to make. I'm going to stop saying those things because they're starting to change my the energetics in my body. I don't know if you ever feel that, but I just want someone to step in and do my life for me sometimes. Like that whole kind of, I wonder, are there people you can employ to clean your cupboards right to the back and, just show your children how to clean stuff? No, they know. That's awful. It's not just the children, but it's just the general wear and tear in the house, things like hoovering and all of that stuff. There would be, I could get a cleaner, but there's so much stuff on top of the dirt. That's not really true. But there are lots of clothes around the place. That's one of the main things. And my paints and stuff are in the living room as well. So there's just I guess I've got this desire in me to create space and for clarity and cleanness. Maybe that comes with spring. I did clean out the studio before, at the start of spring. I cleared this out. I spent a few hours. It was very easy, having kind of ruminated for a long time. I actually just, before I even realised what I was doing, I started cleaning it one day. It was a day when I had gone for a cycle ride to Flotterstone, and I just didn't want to go into the house. I just didn't want to go indoors because it was such a lovely day. So I used the opportunity to start emptying out the studio. And I completely cleaned it out, carpet and everything. There was nothing, literally nothing left in here. So there's a freshness. Maybe that's why this is also feeling good to be working out here again. And that's why I did manage to finish. And I just guess that it was also, time. Sometimes, no matter how much push there is, I find sometimes it's not gonna. In fact, the more push there is, the more resistance there can be then. So there is something too in acceptance and just letting, not to be so driven and busy all the time. And this thing of pushing, shoulder to the wheel the full time, I don't think that's a healthy way to be really for me. I need to have spaces. And actually, I think it's in the book by Chris Westfall called Easier. I think it's in that book where he says, maybe it's him or James Clear, who does that lovely newsletter, and James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits. Anyway, one of them said this, and it's the same message from both of them really anyway. What was it now? Yeah, do you know what? In the end, I think it was Matt Haig, actually. In his comfort book, that's where it was that I read this. He said, really, I think our main purpose in life is to rest, to relax, stop, and to just listen. I'm paraphrasing. Listen to birdsong, feel the air on your face, touch the grass, breathe slowly and spaciously and take time to just lie down on the earth with nothing to do. Something really lovely about nothing to do. No pulse whatsoever. And we can have that, like I feel I can have that, but the thing about me is that it feels like there's strings pulling me to all these different things. So I was talking to Danielle from Remarkable Women about this, and we were discussing the idea of just simply trusting that I could follow whatever it was that I wanted to do creatively and take a year just to do that, to do only what it is that I want to do and create a lot of space, like to just stop and see. Because I think in doing what you want to do, it feels to me that it's very important to first have space to discern what that is really. And maybe the very thing that I want is the space, actually, rather than space to, I think what I might discover is that when I give myself space, it's exactly that was needed. And I imagine, and it isn't only an imagining, because there have been times in my life where this has been the case, that when that space is granted to yourself, everything else falls into place. At least, not in a kind of complacent, oh, it's all hunky-dory and all that flowery, but there's something kind of, something happens where like everything, like the snowdrops in a snow globe, like Nick would say. Nick is from Remarkable Women too. That the snowdrops settle, and it feels as though things would find their own place, if the force was removed. That actually, in that spaciousness, that I imagine, I might experiment, that everything would end up being okay, finding its way there. I certainly feel like it's good to keep an eye when this sense of overwhelm begins. If there's a feeling of overwhelm coming in, seems to me like that's a very good indicator that space is necessary. And of course, it's easy for me to say, well, actually, not really. Easy for me to say, but maybe to do it isn't so easy. And we all have our own things, but, I hear myself saying, I need to keep the show on the road. I'm not sure. I think I need to check out my show and see am I happy with it before deciding to do another run. Because there might be a different show. There might be a different show. There might be no show at all. It might be just live. Which, like Matt Haig said, is really what we're kind of here to do. Just live, actually enjoy in the living of life. And that's the whole thing, isn't it, about being in the process. So I suppose that's how painting and things appeal to me, because there's a building up of bit by bit. It's the soothing quality of piecing a thing together, more so than the outcome of the thing. It's in the soothing quality of piecing the thing together that's where lies the opportunity for rest, I think. Like, didn't Van Gogh say that? He said a painting to rest the mind. He said a lot of things. I went to his exhibition last week there, the big virtual thing where the screens and showing his work, and I actually came away feeling that I had a lovely experience. generally. I thought it was a lovely thing. The visuals being enormous, I found inspiring, and with the beautiful music as well. It was like opera. I felt that was quite. It enhanced the emotion of his work. That was there anyway, and allowed you to sit in it a little bit more. And the emotion that was palpable really throughout was this love. There was a love in his work, in his words, and there was also, you could sense too that there was a sadness, I suppose. But the thing about that even was that even in that, through what he was saying, was the flavour of wholeheartedness. And I found that really nourishing to be around the words, the music, and the little children running across these screens of sunflowers on the floor. There was an energy of playfulness that I think would have made Van Gogh smile, I would imagine. I think, I feel like he had a fairly rough innings. It was like, in the information they said he sold one painting, but the roughness, I think, would have been in the highly the rawness that he had in meeting things. So it allowed him to really cultivate or draw forward from his paintings the iridescence and beauty that's inherent in the natural world. Like, it allowed him to show us through his eyes what that is, like the brightness of the purples and yellows of the cornfields and starry nights with swirling yellows around these stars glowing like globes. Really, I think it allowed that raw attention to deep sensitive heart in him. That was the thing, I think, that meant that he had the capacity to create work that has endured and has soothed and brought joy to so many. And he sacrificed, I think, a level of contentment in his life, maybe something like that. I feel like, the tragedy too would have been very deeply felt, and there was tragedy in his life. And loneliness. Probably misunderstood and all of that, I don't know. But I'm glad that he weathered the storm enough to stay as long as he did and make as many beautiful paintings as he did make, and showed us uncompromisingly the gift of this springtime, even like the beauty of those blossoms, the dance of nature. So I would recommend going to see it. That's the virtual, it's on until July, I think, in the Festival Square in Edinburgh. And my daughter saw it in Amsterdam when she was there, so it's been around, and I think it will continue to travel. So it's been good chatting to you while working. Maybe that was the combination that I needed, was to actually not be silent. Well, there is peace in silence too, though, but sometimes I need a bit of a bridge to get to that, and you provided me with that bridge there today, because I was still a little bit swept away in my thoughts when I started here, and now I feel a little bit cleaner. The word clean keeps coming up. I don't know what that's about. Cleaner. There we have it. And you've got a very long video now. And I suppose what I'll do now is I'll get myself ready for the day. Maybe nearly afternoon, but I'll go in and I'll, have a wash and get on some clothes and get myself ready. Some, clean clothes. There's that word again. I'm still wearing this jumper that I had on in bed last night. This orange jumper keeps me warm, I think, just by looking at it. And I just couldn't bear to take it off last night, so I wore that to bed. But yeah, I've got I'll go and change and get myself ready for the day. Maybe even saying that, it feels like I don't have to get myself ready for the day. I am already here, the day is already happening, and I'll just take the next step. As I think it was Elsa said in Frozen, just take the next right step. And I think focus on the light, when she got stuck in the cave. Turn in the direction of the light and take the next right step. So that's what I'm going to do. Meanwhile, Maisie is digging a hole in the garden. Maisie, no. There's about 4 of them just outside the studio door. Sometimes I catch her, but sometimes I just lose the will with it, and then I just fill it in with grass and stuff. And it's never going to be a prize-winning lawn, but I just get irritated by that sound of the dragging grass, like pulling hair out by the roots. We had a nice walk together, Maisie and me, though. It's she's good company. I love Maisie, which is lucky, isn't it? Okay, I think I'm going to stop there. It's not so much, I looked at it there and I looked at that eye and I thought to myself, there's something in my belly happened when I realised that it doesn't look like, it's not proclaiming strength to me, that eye. And there was a bit of resistance to that. It's not proclaiming huge strength anyway, but maybe it's got resilience and just a staying the course kind of quality to it, and that might be enough for today. The thing is, I had this really dark blue and it's run out and I don't have the tube of it with me. I think it's maybe indigo or Prussian, and I think if I had more of that, I'm just trying to gather it up here, what's left on the palette. I feel like if I had that would bring the strength that I'm looking for into the mix here. Maisie, you just dug a hole and now you're starting to tear apart the kitchen paper. Are you looking for trouble? Oh God, and the mirror is only barely attached. Right, Maisie, out. Out. Go on, out. Right, this way then. Out. Come on. Good girl. I was worried that the mirror might collapse there and break. So I thought this deeper blue might give the feeling of steady gaze and strength, something more strengthening. I was aiming for the steady gaze, but if it's not there, I suppose it's not going to be pulled out. I know, it is there, it's just not quite on the surface, which is okay, because maybe I need that inside deeper. So every day is different, isn't it, guys? Every day is different, and actually every 5 minutes. Do you know what I did this morning too? As I was walking around that field, I thought, right, I'm not going home now with this these thoughts running through my head of all the things, that whole thing, all the things. And so I thought I'd do one more round, and on this round of the field I'm going to name everything I'm thankful for. And I began with this orange jumper that feels so good on my skin and is so warm and lovely. And the feeling of the earth, I'd taken my shoes off, so the feeling of the grass under my feet and the warmth, the springtime now, the spring earth is actually warming up. It's warming up and it's welcome. And there's almost like that pulse is happening under my feet. I can feel that, even talking about it, I can feel a bit of that pulse of Mother Earth coming up, you know, that feeling of alive, fecund earth underneath us. And almost through us, really. Anyway, there was that feeling, so I was grateful for that, and the sky and the green of the spring green of those lovely fresh leaves, and then the blossom and these huge trees and that field, and for family and for the sea and my birthday, and anticipating celebrations with my daughters because we're going to do something together. With them. I thought I might ask them. But you know what? One of the things I was thinking I'd like to do is to go to the film house, because they've got slightly unusual films there. To see a film together and have a meal there as well, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, all of that. So it pulled me from feeling a bit what's the word now? Oh, I'm sure there's an Irish word for it, you know, it's kind of a moan, you know, some sort of lamentation word like that. Like, it stopped me from feeling that and opened me to the joy. I was laughing within minutes, like within seconds actually. I started laughing out loud at all the beautiful stuff around. There you go. Maisie and me, we have quite eventful walks, don't we? And as far as I know, nobody saw me laughing out loud to myself in the field with Maisie. But sure, what of it if they did, for goodness sake. I think we need to be okay to just be a little bit strange sometimes. Which in actual fact, I think our emotions, you know, it's no harm. Somebody was saying, again, I think it was Matt Haig, that it depends on where you live, really. There's different levels of sanity, depending on where you are, different rules for what's considered sane and insane. Other places you might be considered insane for not talking to yourself. Who knows? Anyway, I'm going to make my own rules. That feels good. So here's to a day of, another day for Anya on planet Earth, deciding for herself what it is she wants to do, and going ahead and doing it, because I make the rules. The ones that I'll follow anyway. I might make rules around the house like dishwasher and all that, but not so attached to those being followed, because I can't base my happiness on that happening. But yeah, I suppose we're the boss of our lives, aren't we? Each one of us. Mightn't feel that way all the time. Maybe it might feel a scary thing to feel that, oh my God, I'm in charge. Sometimes sometimes I don't need to hear that. Today's is slightly like that, because I'm thinking, ooh, maybe I'll just take the next right step. That's what I'll do. I'm liking the cadmium. It's giving me strength, that cadmium red. It's funny because that's the exact colour of the fragile words above it. Look. Interesting. I think my water has got dirty enough now that it's indicating it's time maybe to stop. Time to stop. Yeah, I'll go and get myself sorted for these next commissions, and I'll work through my to-do list, which I think I've told you this before. My friend calls it her to-da list. At night time inside in bed, she goes through her to-da list, as in what she did actually accomplish. I think she doesn't have a to-do list. I don't think I'm going to have one either. I'm just going to do the things that I want to do. Again, like Chris Westphal said in his book Easier, he said discipline is simply remembering what you want. So today I'm going to remember what I want. That feels a lot softer in my belly than ticking off to-do list things. So today, my wish for you is that you remember what you want and that you follow that. In gentleness and compassion and kindness for yourself. How about we do that best we can? Best we can. Easier than others. Some days easier than other days. Yeah, but even just setting that intention for kindness. Because we're with ourselves first, aren't we? First and last. It's a wonderful world. My goodness. I wonder if you've turned off. I might break it down into a few videos. Because you're like, oh my god, now she's singing. Lily's got a beautiful voice, and she said to me yesterday she's going to sing a song with Hope, her older sister, for the family reunion in June. So for that reason alone, I'm delighted that they're all coming, because those two sing beautifully, and it's a lovely thing. They enjoy singing, you know. Erin sings beautifully too, but I think she's not really had she doesn't sing as much as dance. She's a beautiful dancer. I think she does have a good voice. She doesn't think so herself, but anyway, I don't think we'll be creating a family band anytime soon. But Lily and Hope, they're certainly really keen on music and perform really well. Feels to me like I remember Hope's music teacher, her piano teacher, Rose, saying to her, oh, I loved Rose, she was great. I remember her saying to Hope, or saying about Hope, that she performs out the way. Like Rose herself said, she used to enjoy playing for her own self, that she used to kind of have more of an inward thing, whereas Hope projects the joy of her music out. When she plays the piano, everyone hears it, it lands somehow. I knew what she meant. I'm not saying it very clearly now, but I got the feeling, like, because it fills you up when listening to Hope playing. It feels like there's a substance to the impact, her fingers on the notes, like there's an impact there that resounds way past. Even when she maybe made mistakes and things like that, it was still a resounding quality to the performance. Like, it didn't feel like it mattered so much. I think maybe it was a bit of a lifeline for Hope in her teenage years, having the piano in her bedroom too. And now Lily started playing it, but it's a bit tricky playing it with we've got neighbours right beside us this time, and in the last 5 years since we've moved here, it's been a bit tricky playing the piano because, you know, it's really loud in their house, and so we need to choose our time carefully. So, but Lily's teaching herself how to play these pretty intricate songs. I think they sound intricate anyway. So that's one of those things, isn't it? The kind of rounding back to the Susan Boyle moment there. I started out the video with. There's something very connecting, isn't there, about music? I do think it lends itself to heartfulness, wholeheartedness, music, art, anything where we're expressing ourselves in the company of others, especially. I think it's nourishing, good medicine. So there we have it. I reckon that if I carry on now, I'll need to start painting noses and mouths and ears, and I can't have that. Okay, thanks very much for being with me. I have no idea how long this is. I'll switch you off. I'll bring you down so that you can see it from my angle. There you go. I don't know if you can see it. You can see me over there. Oh yeah. There. Yeah. And then I might as well turn this one up before I go to and show you the other one that we started with. It's dried off a bit, so there's some more definition I could put in there now for the runs. The runs have gone and lifted the paint off a little bit. Okay. Hi and bye. Have a lovely day. Okay, see you soon. Bye.